everyone, it's Lisa. Thank you for joining me today. In today's video, I am going to be making 15 cards with the Spellbinders September 2021 card kit. If you want to see everything that's included in the kit, I will have a link down in the description box below for an unboxing video that I previously did. And if you're interested in subscribing to the Spellbinders card kit or checking out any of their clubs, I will have a link for that in the description box below as well. I will also have all card measurements listed on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. So for this first card, I have this brick pattern paper, and that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm trying to make it look like there is a scene on the outside of a house. So I have the front door that I glued down, and I'm going to glue the car right in front of the door, almost like it's parked in front of the door. And then I'm going to put the potted plants, one on each side of the door. But first I'm going to back that up to a piece of orange cardstock because I know that one of the plants is going to extend beyond the edge of that brick pattern paper. So that's why I want to have that orange cardstock underneath. And then that entire layer will go on a piece of light blue cardstock. So the orange cardstock is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the blue cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So here I'm going to go ahead and add the plants, one on each side of the door. And then I'm going to add this sentiment, and the sentiment says, "Home is wherever you are." And then I'm going to back that up onto an A2 size card base. Now the nice thing about this Spellbinders card kit is that all of the card bases and envelopes are included for you. I do finish this up by adding 3 heart ephemera pieces, and that completes this card. Now I did make 2 cards since there are 2 identical pieces of each one of the ephemera pieces. So moving on to my next card, I am using a card sketch. This is the OWH sketch number 83, which you see there on my table. And this sketch gives me all of the measurements I need to create this particular card. So I am going to be using all of the measurements that you see here on the card sketch. And again, if you need an up-close look at all of the measurements and a card sketch, it will be on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. So go ahead and attach all the pieces of pattern paper, and then I'm going to use this doily. I'm just poking out all of these extra pieces that were left behind in the doily, and I'm going to add this to the front of the card layer. And on top of that doily, I'm going to add this basket of flowers, and then I'm going to add the sentiment that says beautiful, and then I'm going to add that to a white A2 size card base. And that's going to complete this card. And again, because there are 2 of each of the ephemera pieces, I created 2 cards with this style. For my next card, I created 2 little hillside borders using a die from Sunny Studios. It's their Nature Borders. It's their Slimline Borders set. And I did the 2 pieces of pattern paper in the different patterns because I wanted contrasting colors. I just thought it would be easier to see them with the contrasting colors. And I backed them up on that tree pattern paper, and that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to place these 3 houses on the hills on this card front, and I am going to be bringing in a chipboard piece. It's this little car. It's just trying to debate where I wanted that car to go. So I'm going to go ahead and insert some of the houses. I was trying to decide if I wanted to put them behind the hill or in front of the hill, so I decided to go ahead and put them in front of the hill. So I have the larger house at the bottom and the 2 smaller houses at the top, and then I'm going to glue this little car down to the bottom portion of that card layer. I'm also including another chipboard piece. It's a sentiment that says "From all of us." And then I'm going to add that to a pink card layer, and the pink card layer is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then that will go on a black card layer that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'll glue that down to an A2 size card base. So I did make 2 of these cards, and the only difference between the card on the right is the sentiment says "From our family to yours." That was part of the stamp set that came in the kit, and here is what the stamp set looks like. So I just used that sentiment, and then I fussy cut it out. And then I also used the bicycle chipboard piece instead of the car because the chipboard pieces, there's only 1 of each. So here's a look at the final card, and moving on to my next card, I'm going to be bringing in this pink rectangular frame. So I pulled back the backing of the frame. It is like a sticker, but I go ahead and add some glue around the center and add a piece of yellow pattern paper to back that up. And that pattern paper, it measures 2¼ by 3¼ And then I'm going to take this sentiment that says wishing you the happiest of days, and I'm going to add it right to the center. And then I have this floral pattern paper that measures 4 by 5¼ And then I have the green pattern paper strip that measures 4 by 1 inch. So the strip's going to go underneath the frame towards the bottom of that card layer. So I'm going to go ahead and just snip off the excess on that green strip and then just add the frame right on top. And that entire card layer will go on this cream solid cardstock, and that measures 4¼ by 5½. I'm going to go ahead and add a floral and a butterfly ephemera piece to the frame. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that to one of the A2 size card bases that came in the kit. And then I do come back in and just tuck a small piece of foam underneath the bottom right hand corner of that flower, since it was hanging off the edge of the frame and I wanted to make sure it fit snugly against the card layer. So I did make 2 of these cards. The only difference between the 2 is the one on the left is a smaller frame than the one on the right. And since it was a smaller frame, I did move up that green strip in order for it to sit behind that frame. For my next card, I have this strip of wood pattern paper, and that paper is measured 1 inch by 5 3/8, and I'm adding it to the bottom of this picture frame paper that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I'm going to bring in this piece of yellow pattern paper, and that measures 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch, and I'm just going to put it there right at the top of the wood paper. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a little bit of a scene. I wanted this to look like a living room scene, so that wood paper represents the floor, and then I have the baseboard, and then I have the wall, which is the picture frame paper. And then I'm going to back that entire layer up on a piece of black cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5½. So now I'm going to go ahead and arrange my scene. I'm going to bring in the clock, the couch, as well as the dog, and I thought it would be cute to have a little shelf there up at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces down, and I'm going to use a chipboard sentiment, and it says grateful for you, and I'm just going to put that right underneath the shelf. I am going to glue that down even though it is sticky on the back. I just want to be sure that the chipboard stays adhered to the card. And then that entire layer will go on an A2 size card base. And I do create 2 of these cards since I had all of the matching ephemera. The only difference is I did use one of the puffy stickers, thinking of you, because I didn't have 2 of the chipboard pieces. For my next card, I'm using the OWH Sketch 116, and I'm going to be using the measurements exactly as shown on the card sketch. So I'm going to start with my card base, and I'm going to actually adhere these papers directly to my card base. So the floral paper is 4½ by 3 1/4, and then that green strip is 5½ by 1 1/4. So I'm adhering it directly to the card base, and I'm going to bring in these circle frames. So I have this pink circle frame. I'm adding a 2½ inch circle out of just some cream cardstock to the back of it, and I'm going to add the swan right in the middle. I'm going to add the swan first to the actual circle, and then I'm going to add the frame over top of it. And then I'll add that circle to the center of the card front. I am going to be bringing in the word cherished, which is this ephemera piece that you see, and I'm bringing in some twine from my stash. And I'm just bringing in a little piece of twine through one of the holes. I'm actually going to do this to both sides. And I'm going to take this double-sided tape that was included in the card kit and just tape down to the back the twine so that it doesn't move. And then I'm just going to tie it in a knot on the front and then just snip off the end so it's much shorter than what you see here. And I'm going to do that to both sides just so that I have a little knot on each side of this word cherished. And then I'm going to flip that over, and I am going to remove the backing of the double-sided tape and just add some of the foam dots to the back. These foam dots were also part of the Spellbinders card kit. Spellbinders always includes double-sided tape and foam dots in their card kits. And then I'm going to add that to the front of the card. So it is slightly raised using that foam. And that completes that card, and I did make an identical one that you see here on the left. It just has a little bit of a smaller frame and a slightly different color. For my next card, I'm using OWH23 card sketch, and I have these two pieces of pattern paper. The green dot paper is 5 3/8 by 2 3/4, and the pink paper is 5 3/8 by 1 1/2, and I'm just adding them onto an actual A2 size card base. So the green will go at the top, the pink at the bottom. I'm going to bring in these chipboard frames. So I'm using the square frame for this card, and I have a piece of gray with the heart pattern paper. I measured that at 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and I'm layering that behind this square frame. I included the birds within the frame, and I'm going to add the frame directly to this piece of gold mirror cardstock that's 3/8 inch by 4 1/8, and I'm trying to make sure that the center of the frame is positioned exactly center of the gold strip. And then I'm going to bring in this sentiment that says happy day. I'm just going to put a little piece of foam on the right side of it so that it adheres to the card base while the left side is adhered to the frame. I'm going to add this to an A2 size card base. And then to finish this off, I will add some of these gold heart stickers. And I did complete 2 cards with this style, just different pattern paper and a different frame. So you can see this particular one has the floral at the top and the green at the bottom, and it has a green circular frame. And that completes these cards. So moving on to my next card, I'm going to be using the telephone dies that are included in this card kit. So I'm using the paper that came in the kit as inspiration. There's a card on there, which I don't show here. I do show my unboxing video that shows the telephone die cut in black and gold. And I really like that color, so I decided to go with the black and gold. And you can see that there are some small pieces that have accent pieces for your telephone. So on the handle, there are a few of the gold pieces. And then here where the little buttons are for the phone, I did die cut that out of a light gray cardstock, and then I also die cut it out of the gold, and I'm just going to poke some of the middle pieces out and add those directly back for the buttons. So all of those buttons are in gold. I did put double-sided adhesive tape on the back of that before running it through my die cut machine, just because I can't even imagine trying to put glue on those little tiny circular die cut pieces. So I also die cut the little legs for the phone out of gold, and I'm going to add those right underneath the bottom portion of that telephone. So if you wanted to add a sentiment to the bottom of the phone, there is an option to do that. So you have these dies in the kit, and I did put double-sided adhesive on the back of this. It is a sentiment that says hello you. There's also another sentiment in there that I believe it says phone home, and I just die cut it out of gold. And if you wanted to layer it on a different color piece of cardstock, you can use that rectangle die and die cut a different color and put it underneath, but I chose just to add the sentiment directly to the black telephone. I thought that it made it stand out really well. And then I die cut this little accent strip out of gold, and I'm going to add that right above the sentiment. So to put my card together, I have a piece of gold mirror cardstock, and it measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I did cut the center out just to save that gold mirror cardstock from the center. I am adding this piece to an A2 size card base, and then I will insert just a piece of scrap cardstock right in the center just to make sure that that layer is completely flat when I add my pattern paper to the front of that. So the pattern paper I'm using is the heart pattern paper, and that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I'll add that directly to the top, and I love how the pattern paper has the gold foil hearts. It just makes that mirror cardstock stand out even more. And then I have this yellow pattern paper that measures 4 1/8 inch by 1 inch, and I'm going to add it across the bottom. And I'm going to include a heart ephemera piece and another sentiment that says thinking of you, and the phone is going to go right above that strip. So the telephone also has a die to cut out the little cord for the phone, which I also die cut out of black cardstock. And I am going to put some glue on the back and then just tuck it underneath the phone and as well as under the handle. So again, all card measurements will be listed in my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. If you're interested in this kit, you can check the description box below for a link which will take you to the Spellbinders website where you'll be able to see information on all of the Spellbinders clubs. And here are all the cards that I made with this kit. I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which one was your favorite. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.